What I've been playing, and it's something you could probably chip in on, Jack, is Hitman Freelancer.
Oh, yeah.
Which went live last week. This is the new, it's like an arcade mode for Hitman that structures these like little campaigns where you must take down a syndicate of targets that can be split across any one of, I believe, 19 of the game's maps.
Hell yeah.
And it is, to an extent, procedurally generated. It's a roguelike.
Mm-hmm.
So your playthrough and your syndicate that you pick will not bear any resemblance necessarily to mine. So that in and of itself is cool. And if that was the only wrinkle, that would be like a little bit interesting. They layer in stuff to it that makes it even more compelling. Like, for example, I thought that, you know, like you complete missions and you do like side quests and stuff like that in the main game to up your mastery at that particular map.
Yeah.
And that unlocks different like routes of egress, different suits, different weapons, different opportunities, stuff like that. Whereas here, that mastery counts towards shit all. You have a separate, you know, it will do your overall level on the game. And I was surprised, but then I guess I remember I was about halfway through trying to get my mastery maxed out on Hitman 1 and Hitman 2, having done it on Hitman 3. I had forgotten that my overall level on the game was like 177, which is like, it's nothing to you, I'm sure, who are like, you've probably broken the scale, but like, I guess for most people that just dip in and out of those games, that probably sounds a bit insane.
Yeah.
But there is a freelancer mastery. And with that comes access to different parts of your safe house. I haven't unlocked any of them yet, so I can't tell you what's in there. Maybe Jack can illuminate us on that. But also, the thing that's fascinating to me is that when you're dropped in, so at the start, you have no equipment. And I mean no equipment. No funny costumes, no cool gadgets, no lockpicks, nothing. And you basically pick up everything you need on the map that you land at. And only some of that gear, if it is unique, can you bring back with you, and then you will have it in your case, your weapons cases in your safe house for use on future missions. You also have a loadout thing where you can't just like absolutely deck yourself out with all the things you find in your first mission for your second mission. I'm assuming that with your levels of mastery, you get to be able to bring more tech, but I'm not that far, so I don't know for sure. The other wrinkle that makes it very interesting is that the two targets, you will have two targets on a map when you land on your first step of taking out a syndicate. The only way to get to the next step is to eliminate both targets. And those two targets are just going to be random people on the map. They are not the two targets that were like in the story version of the game on the map. They could be anywhere. So I was in, God, what's the name of that map from 3, Jack? Chongqing?
Yeah.
Chongqing. So that was where my first mission in my first syndicate was. And I got the luck of the draw. My first target was just a chef who I could find out in the street at one point, because he's the one that, you know, the alley where the woman takes is out there pacing, trying to remember the code to get into the underground lab.
Yeah.
So that target pops out into the alley to have a smoke, and you can just drop down from the balcony over the entrance to the lab and just get him without raising any alarm or anything like that. But the other target was down in the lab. And from what I understand from other people is like the two where they are, like somebody else could get Chongqing and end up with two guys that are completely different spots on the map.
Yeah.
The other thing that like you encounter there is that you get like side optional objectives. So the ones I had in my first one were like, don't ever get caught on CCTV camera for 1,000 bonus currency.
Mercers.
And the other 2 were to take out 3 guards each with an SMG, and then a sniper rifle was the other one.
Yeah.
And the gear drops have changed as well, because the sniper rifle isn't where the sniper rifle was in the story mode. You know, there's one up on that billboard on top of a building in that map. It's not there anymore.
No.
So I don't know where the sniper rifle is in that level anymore. The other thing is, if you reach a fail state, you have to start again, because if you fail to take out your target, that target alerts the rest of the syndicate and they go into hiding. So you have to start the syndicate mission again.
Yeah.
And each syndicate mission, I believe, is 3 stages, Jack?
It is, yeah, before you work your way up to the final one.
You basically have to get through 3 phases without ever alerting your targets that you're coming for them, which is sometimes easier than other times. I imagine I'm going to randomly get assigned one where 2 targets might be relatively close together. Also, you can't save inside, and like you can't just be in the middle of the Chongqing map and have like gotten rid of one target and then save and come back into the other target layer. Once you drop into the map, you have to beat both of them. If you try to leave the map to go back to your safe house, even it will alert the other target. You have to start again.
Yeah.
So it's like, for people like us who obsessively played the Hitman games to completion, it's a nice meaty challenge that once again reinterprets these incredible clockwork puzzles that are these maps. So I'm falling way back in love with it again. Have you been playing much of it?
I have played it, yes, and I really like it. So you were surprised to hear, I'm sure. I think it's a really cool take on it. Another thing you should mention as well, Dave, is that if you die, if you eat it, all the shit that you have with you in the level, that's
if
gone.
you die in real life.
Yeah, exactly. You perish. It's over for you. No, but if you die, all the shit that you have with you in that level is gone at that point, and it isn't in your base anymore. And I found that out the hard way too, where I was like, oh yeah, I've got this thing. Cool. It was like this. It's a silent submachine gun that you can get on Dubai, and I had that. And then I died, and then went into the next mission looking for my silent submachine gun, and it wasn't there. I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. Absolutely furious. But yeah, it's just a good reinvention of Hitman. And like you say, that the key element to me is that you're not replaying the same targets over and over again. So like, even in the elusive target arcade, which I think is really cool, because not everyone was around when all of those elusive targets dropped, and you might have missed one.
Some people missed Gary Busey.
Yeah, exactly. But you might have missed one here, you might have missed one there, something. So having all of those as a sort of, rolling kind of...
You also might have failed one, because you only got, when those were originally released, you only got one shot at them.
Exactly. You got one shot, one opportunity. You had to seize that moment and capture it and not let it slip. So...
Damn it.
Yeah.
Absolute piece of shit.
It would have been gone forever. But you just try not to lose yourself in that situation, obviously, and you just carry on plugging your way through the elusive target arcade, and then you might find something in there that you're like, oh yeah, this one I didn't get to finish this, or I died in this, or whatever. But they're still the same targets though. So when you keep playing for elusive target arcade, you're like, oh yeah, I've done this one before, and this section I've done before, or whatever. I love replaying the main missions. And one of the best things about Hitman by miles is that there are so many different rewards and things that you can unlock, and different ways to kill the main characters, but you are still killing the characters and the same protagonist every time you play a level. This is a complete switch up, because you obviously had the contract system in the game that allowed you to kind of people online to create something, and you can just go and try and unlock, play through and unlock and kill people in this order or whatever. And there are those little mini chapters that they create and DLC things, but this kind of feels like everything that you're doing is like building towards something. So you're playing like randomized versions of the levels every time with like random complications that you can get, different, you know, like additional coins for, or additional mercers as they're called in the game. But then it's not just those as well. Like within the levels, there'll be like a courier who's like got a load of money, and if you can figure out the courier and find the courier, there's also assassins as well within the level. So that
I haven't found any of them yet.
Oh, so that was how I died. Is that the assassins in the level, if they kind of cotton on to what you're doing and they find you, they're brutal. So like, you know, you can take a fair few slugs and run away if you're getting shot at in Hitman, and obviously the screen will fade towards black, but you might be able to get away from it. If an assassin finds you and they have a clear line of sight at you, it's like a couple of bullets and that's it. You're done. Over. Finished. Finito. So again, you might kind of, if you carry on playing through, you might kind of want to avoid assassins. Again, I found that out the hard way. But it's just adding all these cool little riffs and tricks and things, and it keeps what is an incredibly well-designed sandbox in each one of these levels fresh. Gives you new takes on it. You know, you start thinking about routes that you never would have taken previously towards a goal, because you never had to go to that area of a level, and you're going to pockets of levels and, you know, hanging out in places and getting different lines of sight than you would normally when you play the game. It's almost like you've got that, I know I have anyway, that stored up version of how I need to do this thing quickly in Hitman on this level to get to this point, or to kill this person quickly if I want to try something different. Whereas in this, it makes you think every single time you play through, how do I do it? You are like absorbing, watching patterns of people, and it's different every time, and same levels, different takes. So even if you had like a couple of the little playthroughs that you're doing and you had the same level and one back to another, completely different targets, completely different complications, completely different methods to kill, completely different locations for things like the assassins and things like the courier and you know, the syndicate within there. So yeah, it's just another way for this game to reinvent itself, and it just shows how fucking solid it is. I don't know many games really, apart from like, you have DLC chapters and they've had DLC chapters, but I don't know how many games could take the sandbox that they have and then just reinvent the way of playing like they have done with Hitman, unless it's on a massive scale. Like, you know, credit Fortnite for doing stuff like that, but also like that is, you know, they have all of the ducats, they have all of the money and all of the tools to be able to do it, whereas Hitman's just a small studio, IO, who are really fucking cool, who are currently making a James Bond game.
Well, this is what I was going to say, is like, I wonder, did this mode come out of like a meeting that's like, what idea do we have in the canister that we can like make a mode that will keep them so busy we can just finally completely just be working on the Bond game?
Yeah, maybe.
And this will keep people going for a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, Hitman is good. Freelancer is good. Everything about this I like, and no one is surprised to hear that, because I am the Hitman champion of this podcast.
Short of like Garrett and Mark giving their takes, it feels like one that even though we might be playing a lot, I don't think we're going to come back to talking about too much on the show, because of that roguelike nature, we can't really talk about it in a way that everybody can necessarily, because everyone's run looks different.
Exactly.
So I think
what I'm hearing
the more you and I talk
Hades. That's what I heard you say.
Yeah, the more you and I talk about it, the less interesting it will get to people. But it will be interesting to hear how the two boys, because I actually don't know how, and it might be one of those times where he breaks your heart, but I don't know Garrett's relationship to Hitman games.
Neither do I. But
yeah,
look, I love Garrett the human. Like,
he might test you.
Yeah,
with this one.
No, seriously. Garrett the person I like, I don't think we necessarily always overlap with our takes, but then if we did, if everyone on this show just agreed with everything everyone ever said, you would never get Game of the Years. Although the depressing agreement on our 2023 or 2022 Game of the Year, like that was a bit, well, I guess it's going to be this. If you haven't listened, you can go and listen to the extensive Game of the Year. But our ultimate Game of the Year winner.
I love that you pivoted from going Game of the Year was an anticlimax into going, oh, you should definitely listen to it.
No. But
as profoundly disappointed as I was, we still want the clicks, folks.
It wasn't none of the conversations except the ultimate winner were an anticlimax. That's what I mean. Like myself, you, Mark, Garrett, and Barry, like we all have very different tastes and stuff, and that's what makes it interesting to hear us sit there and basically fucking rail into each other for like 9-10 hours every single year. So nothing but respect for the big GK.